Before we get to Locke, though, let's take a look at a few other figures in modern philosophy. Lord Edward Herbert of Cherbury. So I put Edward in there only because Copleston refers to him as Lord Herbert, but Herbert could also be a first name. So to be clear, Herbert is the last name. Lord Edward Herbert of Cherbury, then, believed in more of an idea of innate truths. Remember, we believe that there are two different things. Did your ideas, the ideas that we have in common, did they come from God? They're something that we're born with? Are they innate? Or do we get them from our senses? Empiricists tend to say from the senses. Lord Herbert was saying that these common notions that we all have, these innate truths, are implanted in us by God and are not the product of our experience. Contrary to what the empiricist would say. He would say, the mind is not a blank slate, it's not a tabula rasa. There are things on your mind when you're born. Your mind is sort of like a closed book, he said. He said, with a closed book, got news for you, there are words inside that book, and so it just requires opening it up through sense experience. When you're born, your senses open up, and you start understanding things, but there's already something inside the book. The book is not blank. He talks about 5 fundamental truths of natural religion, which we're simply repeating actually from our course in Reformation and modern church history. We talked about Lord Herbert very briefly, if you remember him. He said, there are 5 things that are found in all true religions. What are those 5 things? That all people believe in a supreme being, call it God or call it whatever you want. That the supreme being ought to be worshipped. Okay, it's one thing to believe in God, but we actually do something about that. Belief in God, we worship God. Moral life is a principal part of divine worship. Okay, because I believe in God, I live a certain way. I do certain things and I don't do other things. Number 4, vices and crimes are expiated through penance. So you did something bad, you lied, don't worry, don't sweat it. There's a way for you to make up for the bad things that you've done. Why? Because number 5, if you don't make up for the bad things that you've done while you're on earth, you'll pay for them later. There will be hell to pay later. Right? So our deeds on earth will be rewarded or punished in the next life. So all religions have to believe in those 5 things. All that simply to say, here at this time when we have people like Hobbes saying one thing, everything comes to us through our senses. There are other people like Lord Herbert of Cherbury, who even though he was on the British Isles, was saying, wait a minute, no, it doesn't all come to us from the senses. We're born with some ideas on our mind.